name is Isham,
And my name is Mathilde.
and we're part of the Google AdWords support team dedicated to Sub-Saharan Africa. Today, we'd like to talk to you about Google Analytics, and we actually have an analytics specialist, Mihai, who will give us a demonstration on how to optimize your analytics account. Mihai, you can then start your presentation.
Okay, hello everybody, my name is Mihai, I'm a Google Analytics Technical Specialist. I want to thank Ishan and Mathilde for organizing it. And today we're going to talk a bit about Google Analytics. We're going to go a bit more in depth about implementation and about how you can bring as much data as possible into Google Analytics, and then also demo a bit some of the more important reports and how you can use them and how you can optimize your customers' accounts this way. So let's go right into it. So right now we currently have two versions of analytics. One of them is the free version and the other one is premium. We're going to talk mostly about the free version in this training, and what all analytics is basically just a tracking code that you can copy from under your tracking code and that you need to install on all pages of your website, and this will track the behavior of people that are visiting the website and will also report on things such as the source they came to the website from. You can also use more advanced features such as goal tracking and e-commerce tracking so that you can actually see how people are converting and you can prove the value of different acquisition channels to your website. So we're going to start right from the beginning with a way to enhance the standard reporting, and that is by implementing the display advertising support feature. And all you need to do to implement this is just add one extra line of code to your Google Analytics tracking code. The other way to do this is if you decide to implement Google Analytics through Tag Manager, you just need to create a new tag of a type of Google Analytics, and you just need to check this checkbox with enable display advertising features, and that will enable the remarketing features of Google Analytics on your website. The benefits of doing this code change to your website are multiple. The most important are that once you can create remarketing lists via Google Analytics that you can import in your AdWords account, and we're going to go a bit more in depth about them soon. And another benefit is that you're going to get some new reports in your interface, one of them being the demographics report, which will report on the age and gender of the visitors of your site, and the other one will be the interest report, which gives you details about the affinity of your customers and the in-market segments, and you could use this to create very specific targeted display campaigns. Another benefit of making this change to your analytics tracking code is a new feature that is currently under beta and that we're going to launch soon. Right now, if you're interested in it, you can, at the end of the training, you're going to receive this link and you can sign up for the beta feature, which is GDN impression and YouTube tracking. And with this beta enabled and with the change to the tracking code, you will be able to see the value of your display ads and of your YouTube advertising directly in analytics. So right now, we're talking about ads that people just see on the display network, so they have only been served an impression and they have not clicked on the ad. And the reporting for this feature looks something like this. So in your multi-channel funnels, you'll also be able to filter by impressions and by rich media, and you're going to get a reporting such as this, which will show you the different display channels from where people are coming from. Another good measurement of bringing additional data into your Google Analytics account is event tracking. And you can use event tracking on elements of your site, such as buttons, for example, the button for the submit button for a contact form, or a play button on a video, or a download button, and so on. To implement it, it's again very easy. All you need to do is add a button that looks something like this on the actual HTML element. So the required elements here are GA, send, and event. And the first one is called category, and the second one is called actions. All of these are mandatory information that you need to add. This will push that information to the Google Analytics servers. So for example, an event tracked button would look something like this. So the standard a standard link HTML tag, and on it you'll have a declaration of on-click GA send event, and in this case I decided to use a category of link and an action of click, and this is basically just how analytics will report it. You can name this whichever way you want it. You can also implement events through Tag Manager, and it's even simpler. You can take benefit of the auto event tracking feature of Tag Manager, and to do that you will just need to create a tag with a type of event listener, click listener. You just need to give it a name and a firing rule. In this case we'll want to fire it on all pages. Save that, and then you will have to create a new tag that is a Google Analytics tag, Universal Analytics, and this will be an event tag. You'll have to add here your UA number where you want to send the information, and here the category and the action are mandatory fields that you want to add to analytics. And then you have to specify when you want to fire this event, and we want to fire this event on all the pages of the site, but when the event matches GTM click, and this will send an event when someone clicks on an element of the page to analytics. Okay, so this is a much simpler way of creating events in analytics, because you will not have to change the code on the site all the time, and this is why it's beneficial to implement all your tracking tags, including Google Analytics, Google AdWords Remarketing, and Google AdWords conversion tracking through Tag Manager. Okay, and another way of bringing in additional information into your Google Analytics reporting interface is via manually tagged links. Manual tagging requires you to use the URL builder to add some specific tags to your link that analytics is able to read and report on them. And this is very useful for your non-AdWords CPC campaigns. For AdWords, we would recommend you use the automatic tagging feature in AdWords, which will give you much more information than manual tagging. So you could use this, for example, if you run a CPC campaign on other networks. You can use this in your newsletter, and you can even use it in your offline marketing if you want. And we're going to go a bit into detail about that in a second. So to enable this or to use it, because you don't need to enable anything specific, you just need to search for the URL builder on Google, and the first link that you're going to find is the one where you can build your links. So in my case, let's say I want to use it on Google, and all I have to do is specify here the URL of my website. Let's say the URL is google.com. The campaign source, in this case, I said I'm going to use it in one of my Google AdWords campaigns, will be Google. Again, here you can write anything you want. This is just how analytics will report on it. So instead of Google, like on the campaign source, I could write example. It will still work, but that's just the way it will be reflected in my Google Analytics reports. And on the campaign medium, in this case, it's a CPC campaign. And I just have to give it a campaign name, and I'll go with test in this occasion. And when I submit, I'm going to get a link that looks like this and has these additional parameters, the UTM parameters, UTM source, UTM medium, and UTM campaign. And Google Analytics will be able to read these, and you'll be able to see the reporting on them. These features can be very, very powerful, and you can use them in a multitude of ways. For example, let's say you send out email campaigns to your customers, and you want to test out two different versions of a newsletter. Let's say one of them has a blue call to action, and the other one has a red call to action. And an easy way to do that would be to create something like this, and probably here you're going to have a campaign source of newsletter and of medium of email, and you'll want to also give it an additional campaign name of, let's say, red version. And in this case, you'll be able to see which one converts better, and this way you'll be able to optimize how you communicate with your customers and always try to present, the most relevant message for them and the one that converts the best for you. And I also said you can use this even for offline media. And to do that, you have to use a redirect, and either use a vanity URL or just use a URL shortener. So, for example, if I would be running a banner campaign, and this would be my final thank you page. This would be my final page that I want people to land on, so that I know that they came from that specific flyer that they saw. I could just print in the flyer that the URL to my site is this go.gl/yhaak, and when people will try to access this URL from their browser, they're going to get redirected to a URL that looks like this, and I'll be able to figure out that these people came from that specific URL. Another way to do the redirect would be if you created in your site and you just do the site, for example, you just put something like this, example.com and /something, and when people click on it, they'll be redirected to an URL like this. You can even go a step further and use vanity URLs. So in this case, a vanity URL would be the same name of my website, but just with the different extensions. And when people access this specific URL, they'll be redirected again to my website, and that has a manual tag. This would be a very good way of using it when you do, for example, like radio ads or television ads, where you cannot present a very long URL to your customers. So in this case, just buying, for example, for TV ads, example.tv would be much more beneficial, and you could just present that URL to your customers, and when they access it, they're going to be redirected to a URL like this, and you'll be able to understand in your analytics report that these people saw your ad on television. Okay. And now I want to talk a bit about a few changes that we've made since the launch of Universal Analytics. So Universal Analytics is the new version of Google Analytics that went out of beta this year, and in it we've added a few new features that you can configure directly in the interface right now, and you don't need to edit the code anymore. And one of them, which is a really, really good feature, is the organic search sources. And this is particularly beneficial if your market uses search engines that are not the default search engines. So yeah, Google Analytics will recognize by default Google as a search engine, Bing, Yahoo, Ask, and a few others. If your market uses other less known search engines, you will need to add them manually here. And it's incredibly simple to do that. You just need to press the Add search engine button, and the only thing that you're really interested is what the query parameter of your search engine is. So let's say you want to advertise for the Russian market, where Yandex.ru is a very popular search engine, and all you have to do is search for something, and what you're looking for is the query holder of what you searched for. So this is what I searched for, and in URL encoding, what comes after a question mark or an ampersand is a parameter, and in this case, what's holding my search query is text. So if I want to configure Yandex as a search engine recognized by Google Analytics, I would just have to give it a name. Let's go with Yandex, the domain, yandex.ru, and here the query parameter that we just saw that is text. Similarly, let's say if you want to configure it for Baidu, and again, maybe your markets have specific search engines that people are using. The way to do it would be, again, just search, and in the case of Baidu, the query parameter, as you can see, it's WD. WD is holding my search query. And another really good feature that we have included in the backend of Google Analytics since the launch of Universal is the referral exclusion list. And referral exclusion is very, very good for those of you who use e-commerce website and where the payment is made on a third party, for example, on PayPal.com. You know that if you use goals or e-commerce tracking on your site, we will always report on the source of the transaction, the last known source of these people. And if your site redirects to PayPal for a payment and then redirects back to your website, the source where those people came from gets lost, and they will be reported as coming from PayPal. And that is not something that you want, because you'll not be able to properly analyze and understand your data. So to fix that, we've introduced this new feature, and all you have to do is add those third-party payment solution as referral exclusion lists. So in this case, let's say my site offers you the possibility to pay on PayPal, and I'll just add it as a referral exclusion. The way this works is it eliminates the referral from PayPal when that user is coming back and attributes that user to direct. But in the case of direct traffic, if we previously know something about that user, we will be able to attribute him again back to the original source he came to your site. Let's say in this case he originally came from Google CPC. By adding PayPal.com as an excluded referral, that person will gain again his original source, and you'll be able to see the value of that specific channel in your reports. Also, it would be worth adding your own domain here as an excluded referral, because in some cases maybe there's like a JavaScript issue on your site, or there's a problem with the coding, and you will get self-referrals, and that's not something that you want, because again you're losing the original source of that visitor. And in that case you would want to add your own website as a referral exclusion list here to mitigate that. And we talked a bit earlier about changing the tracking code to include display advertising support, so by adding this extra line. And what that does, among others, is enable remarketing through Google Analytics. And I really like remarketing through Google Analytics, and it offers you a wealth of possibilities on how to remarket to the visitors of your website. So if I go to New Audience, as you can see, I have multiple options where to choose from. One of them is to allow Google to manage the lists, and which is something that is called smart lists. And how this works is we look at historic data of businesses similar to yours and the users that convert, and we determine which of your users are similar and will have a high chance to convert, and we will create remarketing lists based tailored for these users. Another, more generic option is to remarket to all visitors of my site, to visitors of a specific page, and you also have the possibility to remarket to people who completed a specific goal on your site. And we're going to talk a bit about goals in a few minutes. And the feature I like the most is the ability to create your own remarketing lists based on segments. And this is an incredible, powerful feature of Google Analytics, and it allows you to create remarketing lists based on anything that analytics can measure. So let's say you want to remarket to females between 25 and 33 who, let's say, came from a mobile device of Nexus, and who bought more than 100 euros based on your site. You can do this. You can do pretty much any combination that analytics can do. You can create a remarketing list on it. The only limitation to this would be your own imagination, and another limitation would be, as for normal AdWords remarketing, you still need at least 100 users on your list for the remarketing campaign to work. So if your site is not getting a lot of traffic, if you go into very specific combinations for the list, you may not be able to gather the required 100 people. And all these criteria work as a mathematical intersection, so all of them have to be completed for the list to work. At this moment, analytics remarketing is only available for the display network. So if you also want to do remarketing for the search, you would still need to use the AdWords remarketing code on your website. The membership duration is the same as in AdWords. You can specify it between 1 and 540 days. And at the end, when you want to save the list, you have to select which AdWords account you want to share it with. So if you have your account linked to multiple AdWords accounts, make sure you select the right account from here when you do the sharing of the list. And you also have the option, but we're not going to talk about this because this is a very advanced topic and it's outside the scope of this seminar. You have the opportunity to import data into Google Analytics. So if you have a lot of data that lives in your CRM or in your ERP, you can create a data set and import that data into Analytics and get richer insights about what is going on in these channels. Okay? And now we're going to go a bit on some settings that you can do on your view level. So we talked a bit about settings on your property level and on the view level. As you know, Google Analytics accounts are structured into 3 parts: the account level, the property, and the view level. You currently can create up to 100 accounts per email address, and the rule of thumb would be to create 1 account per each website that you want to track with Analytics. And under the account, you should normally have just 1 property, but you'll probably want to have multiple views, because in different views you can filter data in the ways you want and get different insights in each of them. So under the view settings, one of the, in my opinion, one fairly underlooked feature of Analytics, and which is really, really powerful because it can give you a lot of insight of what people do after they get on your site, is site search. And to enable site search, it's incredibly easy. All you have to do is turn this to on, and again, you'll have to search for the query parameter of your internal site search. So if we would search, for example, on Luna Metrics, which is a very good site about analytics, if we would search here for something and we want to configure site search for this, the query parameter would be an S in this case. So if I wanted to configure site search for this website, I would just have to put an S here. As you can see, it's incredibly simple to configure, and it's a very powerful feature. For example, let's say you have an AdWords campaigns for shoes, and you have, when people come to your site, you will see that a lot of people search for red shoes after landing on your site. In that case, maybe it would make sense to create a separate ad group specifically for red shoes and with a destination URL that leads directly to the red shoes page. Or I've seen this feature used as well, for example, on a website that was selling mobile phones. And the way they used it, they looked at the queries that were being searched on their site, and they created a rotating banner on the top of their site with the most searched free products. And they were able to increase the conversion rate for those products based on this. So this is it's an incredibly simple thing to configure, and you should be using it to take full benefits of it. The other very important thing under the view settings are the goals. And in my opinion, every website should have at least 1 goal. And to determine what goals you should create, you should first ask yourself, why did I make this website? Every website has a purpose to fulfill. Let's say you're an agency and you want to acquire more customers. A good goal for you would be a goal of how many people submit a contact form. If you have an e-commerce site, a good goal would be how many transactions are completed. If you sell and offer a free ebook, for example, a good goal would be how many times the ebook is downloaded. If you are into content, probably a good goal would be how many times people share your content, comment on your content, like your content, +1 your content, or even some more soft goals, if I could call them so, such as time spent on site and number of pages visited. And to create a destination type of goal, it's incredibly easy. Let's say your final thank you page is example.com/thankyou, and you'll have to create a custom goal. You'll just need to give it a name. And in this case, we're going to go with the destination type of goal. And on the next step, it even specifies here under the box. If your site is example.com/thankyou.html, you'll just need to use /thankyou.html as destination URL. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to put here /thankyou.html. You can see you have a few different matching options here. One of them is =, another is begins with, and regular expressions. You'll typically use =, or begins with. Regular expressions are a bit more advanced, and then they will look at your URLs based on a mathematical algorithm and determine if they can match it to multiple things. For example, if you have two thank you pages, one of them being /thank you and the other one /thanks, and you want to track both of them with just one goal, you'd write that in a regular expression /thank, open parentheses, U, a vertical bar, which is called the pipe symbol, an S, and close parentheses. And this will track both of the destination URLs in one single goal. A thing that you should pay attention to is that what you select here as the match type also applies to the funnel. So if in your funnel you'll have, for example, if you select here begins with, and in your funnel you're going to have a page that is /cart and another one that is /cart part 2, this first step will also match the second step because you have begins with, and both of them begin with the same thing basically. So this is something to keep in mind. If you have something like this, you would want to go with regular expressions, and in this case put at the end a dollar symbol, and that specifies that that is the end to where the analytics should look in the URL. There's a full article on the Help Center explaining regular expression and how to use them and what all of these special characters mean and do. And if you have like an e-commerce site, you will probably want to create a funnel where you will add the different stages to see if people are dropping off in a specific place. So let's say you have a cart with 3 steps. One of them is /billing, where people input their billing information. The next one is /address, where they put in their address. And the last one is /options, where they can add some few more options to their order. You would want to add all 3 of these in a funnel, and maybe you will notice when you check your funnel report that, hey, people are dropping off on step 2, but only in a specific browser. And then you test out your site in that browser and see that that page in that browser is not working, and then you'll get in touch with your webmaster and fix that page. You can also assign a value to your goals. The only thing here is that values are static, so you cannot assign a dynamic value. So if you want to assign a value of $20, all goal completions will be always $20. Okay, and just one more goal I would want to show you, because we talked a bit earlier about downloads and how to set up event tracking. So let's say you don't have a thank you page, but you can put event tracking on the contact button submit form, and for that you need an event type of goal. And again, let's give it a name. And let's say we want to track this event that we created earlier here. So we gave it a class of link and an action of button. So to create a goal based on this event, all I would have to do here is put here link, and on action put click, and that would track this event as a goal. Okay, another option that you have is to create filters, and filters are a very good way to exclude some content or to just look at part of your content. Let's say your site also has a mobile version of the site, which is located under m.example.com, and you want to analyze the mobile traffic separately in its own view. For that, you'll create a new view and you'd add a filter to it. In this case, it would be an include only filter with traffic to the host name that contain, and in our case would be m.example.com. Another very good way to use filters is when you want to exclude your own IP addresses, because you probably spend a lot of time on the sites that you're developing and you don't want that to skew up your analytics reports. And in this case, we will go with an exclude filter of traffic from the IP address, and let's say your address is 192.168.0.1. And you would want to exclude this. You also have the option to use IPv6 in case you have a Mac, and the way to determine your IP address is just search on Google what is my IP, and Google will return your IP address. I would advise you to use the one that Google returns to you, because it will be able to tell you if it's an IPv6 or a normal IP or a normal IPv4 email address. And the last setting that I want to talk about is e-commerce. E-commerce will allow you to track purchases that happen on your website. And to enable this, you'll have to add a good amount of code to your thank you page and to also enable this. In my case, it's already turned to on, but we recently also launched a new feature which is enhanced e-commerce, and I want to turn this to on as well. And this is a very beautiful thing that we introduced in enhanced e-commerce. We created the funnels directly in enhanced e-commerce right now, so you can add your funnel steps here, so you don't have to create a goal for it. The thing is, you'll have to also add a bit of code to your website that sends these funnel steps to Google Analytics. And the benefits of enhanced e-commerce are that we enhanced its functionality, so now it also reports on things such as how many times people viewed the product and where they viewed it. For example, if the view happened on a category page or on the product page, how many times people added or removed products from the cart, and you can now also send refunds to analytics. And reporting for enhanced e-commerce will look something like this. So this would be your funnel view. So from all the sessions that started on my site, so in this case we have 5 million sessions, only 1.5 million viewed products, out of which 100-something thousand added the product to the cart, and then out of this, and 400,000 more sessions abandoned the cart, and only in the end, only 100,000 people actually purchased something on the site. And we all also be able to see the actual funnels, so how people navigated. So from 1,000 people that made it to the billing, only 1,000 something made it to the shipping, 1,000 to payment, 800 reviewed that order, and only 349 in this case actually completed the transaction. So maybe, as I said earlier, maybe you're going to identify in your own funnel a very large drop on a specific step, and that might be a sign of worry. And also you're going to get some additional reporting on the product level. So as you can see, we have the product list views and we have the product detail views, how many times the product was added to the cart, how many times the product was removed from the cart, and the total number of times the product made it to the checkout, and how many unique purchases happened for that product. Okay. All of the features that we talked about in analytics can be, let's say, a bit further enhanced by the use of segments in the interface. So I do not want to go a lot into the reporting, because most of the reports are self-explanatory. For example, in geolocation, you'll know that this reports on your location. The language reports on the language of the browser of people using, and so on. But for example, we can use segments to compare two metrics side by side. So I could, for example, analyze all traffic of my website compared to the new users. And in this case, I would get all the reports side by side, and I will be able to see if there's any difference in the way one of the people behave compared to the other one. And one last thing that you can configure and take a lot of benefit from is experiments. And experiments work by you creating 2 or up to 10 versions of one of the pages on your site, on which you change different elements and see how that works. You have to always run an experiment against something, and I would advise running it against either a goal or e-commerce. And in this case, let's run it against transactions. You have to specify how much of the experiment how much of your traffic you want to experiment with. So in the case of 100% and with a 2-page site, so an original and a variation, 50% will see the original, 50% will see the variation, right? So we're going to go with 100%, and on advanced option, we're going to select this to distribute traffic evenly. And let's say my original page is example.com, and my experiment page will be example.com/A. And all I have to do now is add this extra bit of code on my original page as the first thing in the head tag of the site, and analytics will determine which variation to show to people. I've seen very many nice experiments did with this, and very large increases in conversion rate. For example, in one case, the only thing they did was change the color of the sign up button on a 5-step sign-up funnel, and already they changed the color of the button from green to blue, and that increased the sign-ups to their website a lot. So as you can see, very small changes can contribute a lot, and this is very important when already your site is doing really well and you just want to squeeze out that extra few 5%, 10% conversion rate on top of what you already have. And it's also a very good way to, when you don't know exactly with what to go on your site, you don't know if you should put the video on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, a good way to determine that would be to run an experiment and see exactly where to put it. Okay, and again, it's really simple. As you can see, it's very, very simple to configure. And that is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, and I want to leave a bit of time for questions right now, if anyone has questions.
I think there is no question for the moment, so thank you very much for the presentation, Mihai. And if you advertiser have any question, please don't hesitate to post the question below the video, and we'll make sure to answer you with the appropriate link.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending it.
Thanks for watching. Thanks, Mihai. Bye.
Have a good day.